Tonight, the community can learn more about the new Safe Haven Hope Center. The shelter opened earlier this month in an effort to get more people off the streets.
Kristen Allen live this morning in Green Bay. Kristen, tell us, there's a meeting later tonight, right?
Good morning. That meeting is going to be at Haven Books, which is located inside of Safe Haven Pet Sanctuary. And you may remember earlier this year during an extreme cold snap, there were several unhoused people who were allowed to stay here at Safe Haven Pet Sanctuary overnight. Well, that turned into a larger effort, and that's how Safe Haven Hope Center was created. Tonight, the community will have the chance to learn more about what the center hopes to achieve and have their questions answered. Safe Haven Hope Center is located on Jefferson Street near downtown Green Bay. It's a house that New Cap had operated as a shelter for families. That organization closed abruptly at the end of March, citing financial challenges. The city of Green Bay allowed Safe Haven Hope Center to move in, granting a temporary use permit. There are currently 9 people living there and 1 staff member on duty at all times. The temporary use permit expires at the end of June. Safe Haven is working toward a conditional use permit. Hosting a meeting for neighbors and the community is one of the steps needed to get that permit. The majority of people staying there struggle with mental health and addiction issues, but say Safe Haven's unique approach has a significant impact on them.
It's more like a family living here. Everybody knows each other well. Everybody's respectful and supportive of each other's sobriety, and it works out great. And so I choose to come here.
And that meeting starts at 5:30 tonight. Reporting live in Green Bay, Kristen Allen, Action 2 News.